And welcome to another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I am your host, Shiro-chan. Today is Sunday, October 27th, 2019. Got a lot of really cool stories to go over this week, including the second half of the recently released ban list for Yu-Gi-Oh! So let's get right down to it, shall we? In Yu-Gi-Oh! News, just 2 short weeks ago, the new ban list went into effect. Let's take a look at those cards that are no longer on the list. Just a reminder, those cards include Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End, Destiny Hero Malicious, Aether the Heavenly Monarch, Elemental Hero Stratos, Inzektor Dragonfly, Sherrit Strategist of the Necros, El Shadal Construct, Royal Tribute, and Super Rejuvenation. First up is Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End. It is a dark level 8 dragon effect monster with 3000 attack and 2500 defense. Its card effect is cannot be normal summon set, must be special summoned from your hand by banishing 1 light and 1 dark monster from your graveyard. Once per turn, you can pay 1000 life points, send as many cards in both players' hands and on the field as possible to the graveyard, then inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each card sent to the opponent's graveyard by this effect. You cannot activate other cards or effects during the turn you activate this card's effect. This is something I've been talking about happening for quite a while, ever since getting the promo card from Shonen Jump in the mail. I kind of guessed that they wouldn't be making a new promo of Chaos Emperor Dragon unless it was coming off the list. In previous formats, Chaos Emperor Dragon was limited to 1, but now it is unlimited. And this just goes to show that Chaos Emperor Dragon, not as impactful on the game as people previously believed. The next card on the list is Destiny Hero Malicious. This is a dark level 6 warrior effect monster with 800 attack and 800 defense. Its card effect is you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 Destiny Hero Malicious from your deck. The hero monsters have been getting a lot of support lately, and a lot of people are returning to these formats. So we'll have to see how this affects the overall meta. The next card coming off the list is Aether the Heavenly Monarch. It's a light level 8 fairy type effect monster with 2800 attack and 1000 defense. Its card effect reads, you can tribute summon this card by tributing 1 tribute summon monster. If this card is tribute summoned, you can send 2 monarch, spell, or trap cards with different names from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon 1 monster with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense from your deck, but return it to the hand during the end phase. During your opponent's main phase, if this card is in your hand, you can banish 1 monarch, spell, or trap card from your graveyard immediately after this effect resolves. Tribute summon this card. This is a quick effect. This is a great news for the monarch control decks out there. It definitely helps cycle through your deck, getting what you need, where you need it, and when you need it. But again, monarch control decks are kind of no longer a thing. A lot of people are playing some of the more recent archetypes that have been released. And so monarch decks are not as prevalent as they used to be in the meta. The next card to come off the list is Elemental Hero Stratos. It is a wind level 4 warrior type effect monster with 1800 attack and 300 defense. Its card effect, when this card is normal or special summoned, you can activate 1 of these effects, destroy spells or traps on the field up to the number of hero monsters you control except this card, or add 1 hero monster from your deck to your hand. Again, like I said, the hero decks are getting a lot of attention these days, especially with new support. And we'll just have to see if Stratos, which was originally limited to one and at one point even banned, might make a splash in upcoming metas. We'll have to see. The next card coming off the list is Inzektor Dragonfly. This is a dark level 3 insect effect monster with 1000 attack and 1800 defense. Its card effect: once per turn, you can equip one Inzektor monster from your hand or graveyard to this card. If an equipped card is sent to your graveyard while equipped to this card, except during the damage step, you can special summon one Inzektor monster from your deck, except Inzektor Dragonfly. While this card is equipped to a monster, that monster's level is increased by 3. Now, back in the day, Inzektors were all the rage, simply because of the hand control that they possessed. And seeing Dragonfly coming off the list, we may see a little bit of that hand control engine from the Inzektors coming back, possibly being splashed in some newer archetypes. But again, we'll have to see. The next card coming off the list is Sherrit, Strategist of the Necros. This is a water type level 3 warrior effect monster with 300 attack and 1800 defense. Its card effect: if you ritual summon exactly one Necros ritual monster with a card effect that requires use of monsters, this card can be used as the entire requirement. If this card is tributed by a card effect, you can add one Warrior Necros ritual monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Sherrit, Strategist of the Necros, once per turn. Now, in several pack openings recently, I have been seeing a lot of new Necros cards coming out. So perhaps the Necros engine might be making a comeback. We'll just have to see if this particular archetype makes any kind of splash in the meta or not. The next card coming off the list is an interesting one, considering that there is a structure deck coming out for this particular archetype, and that's El Shaddoll Construct. It's a light level 8 fairy fusion effect monster with 2000 attack and 2500 defense. It requires one Shaddoll monster and one light monster. Excuse me. Must first be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can send one Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles a special summoned monster, destroy that monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shaddoll spell or trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Now, this card would be great against a lot of those special summoning heavy decks out there, including the current format of Link monsters. And again, as I said, there is a new structure deck coming out for the Shaddolls, so we'll see how this plays into it. This might even be one of the foil cards coming out of that deck. The next card coming off the list is Royal Tribute. It's a normal spell. Reads, if you control Necro Valley, both players discard any monsters in their hands. Now, I do know that this card is a vital piece of tech for any Gravekeeper's decks, obviously because of Necro Valley and all the Necro Valley and Gravekeeper support out there. But this card can also be good for other decks that really want to have an empty hand and a graveyard full of monsters. We'll just have to see how this impacts the meta. The last card coming off the list is Super Rejuvenation. This is a quick play spell. During the end phase of the turn this card was activated, draw a number of cards equal to the combined number of dragon-type monsters you discarded or tributed from your hand to or your side of the field this turn. Now, this is a great card for any of those Blue Eyes White Dragon decks out there. It really does help with draw engine, depending on the number of dragon-type monsters you discarded or tributed from your hand or your side of the field that turn. Because it's a quick play spell, you could easily use it in combination with something like Trying to remember the name of the card. Well, pretty much any draw engine that involves dragon types would work well with this card. It coming to 3, we'll just have to see how this impacts the meta. I know I keep saying that, but truly, any change to the ban list really does come with a lot of speculation, and we'll have to see type attitudes towards the meta as to how any of these changes will affect the meta, both the local meta and the national meta and even the world meta. So we'll just have to see how this goes. Well, that's pretty much all I have for Yu-Gi-Oh! News this week. On to the next segment. In gaming news, Breath of the Wild 2 rumors hint at 2020 release date and a Switch Pro bundle. In a post over on their YouTube channel, well-known content creator HMK has predicted that the highly anticipated sequel to Breath of the Wild will launch in 2020 and will be available bundled with an as-yet unannounced piece of Nintendo Switch hardware, the Switch Pro. In a video, HMK suggests Nintendo are speeding up development on Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 so that it'll be ready for release in time for the Switch revision that is set to be released next year. Though the YouTuber has no defined source for this sort of information, HMK notes that the last 2 Zelda games have also been released on hardware release days. Link's Awakening came out on the same day as the Switch Lite, and Breath of the Wild was a Switch launch title. So there's method to the madness. If that's not enough information for you to go on, it's pretty tenuous. You can also consider the job listings we've seen published for the game recently. Nintendo Japan recently tweeted out some new job listings, one of which was for a scenario planner and level designer for Breath of the Wild 2. It could be argued that we'll see more staff brought on internally at Nintendo as the company scurries to get the game ready for a potential pro console. And with Sony and Microsoft readying the PS5 and Xbox Scarlet respectively, it makes sense that Nintendo would want a console that keeps pace with next-gen home consoles. But what sort of upgrade could the Switch get that would warrant a whole new hardware iteration? We may already know. The Switch and the NVIDIA Shield handheld console both use the same chipset, the Tegra X series. Back in June, it was discovered that NVIDIA would be using the new Tegra X1 chipset in the upcoming new model of Shield TV. This update will result in a better performance and efficiency in the machine, effectively meaning you can get a longer charge out of the hardware or a more consistent performance from the parent machine. It stands to reason that Nintendo could incorporate the new components into its own devices, learning from what NVIDIA has done with the Shield in the past. Nintendo has not announced that it'll be releasing a new console at this date, but various previous reports noted that the company was keen on capitalizing on the success of the Switch by releasing new hardware iterations as the generation progresses. Until we know more, we'll make sure to keep you updated as we learn what comes out. That's all we have for gaming news this week, and all the news we have for the week. On to the final thoughts. Before we get to the final thoughts, a quick word from some other shows you might find entertaining.
Hey, I'm Chen.
And I'm James.
We're from A Bloody Mess Podcast, the badly researched true crime podcast.
We straddle the boundaries between documentary and comedy, and our aim is to leave you laughing and thinking, wow, I didn't know that.
So once you're done with this podcast, add us to your download lists and give us a go. Have a nice day.
Bye.
There's been a murder of podcast.
Hello! Do you listen to podcasts? Did you seriously just give me that look? I knew you listened to podcasts, but do you listen to the Bare Naked Ladies? Wait, don't hit fast forward. Yes, there's a band out there called Bare Naked Ladies. They are quirky, fun, comedic, and excellent musicians. If you love alternative 90s music with a little jazz, rap, and country mixed in at different times, then you've got to try this band out. And we will lead you through a journey of getting to love this band. We have 3 or 4 people with different levels of bare naked experience. We have Aaron, who's our music expert that breaks down each song. We will try to be informative, but also, we're all friends, so we like to have as much fun as possible. If you are a moderate fan of BNL, then you'll find new experiences and information. If you're a BNL fanatic like me, then I bet you too will find a song that is a deep dive that you never knew of. We sometimes have guests after the first letter. Oh, did I not mention that? We are Bare Naked ABCs, and the ABCs represents that we discuss the songs alphabetically. So come try us out on all platforms where podcasts are downloaded. Bare Naked ABCs. And no, we are not nude during the recordings.
Bare naked, bare naked, bare naked, ABCs.
Hello, future listeners. We are Historical AF. I'm Ashley.
I'm Keena.
And I'm Natalie.
We are 2 librarians and a historian bringing the funny, weird, spooky, and morbid historical nuggets you never knew you needed in your ear holes every Sunday.
And once a month, we bring you extra AF episodes full of your stories and history in the news.
And we do this while hitting the giggle water and gracing the world with our foul mouths and wit.
So if you love to laugh and you like history, true crime, and the paranormal, then we are the podcast for you, and your girls can't wait for you to join us.
You can find us on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. For a full list of ways to listen, go to historicalafpodcast.wordpress.com. And while you're there, you can check out the photos that accompany each episode.
Yeah, bye. We'll see you soon. I don't know. That'll probably scare them away.
Yeah.
Probably.
Come to us.
Come to the dark side. We have vodka.
And
Yeah.
cookies.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's all we have for this week. I hope you found this episode both entertaining and informative. If you have any questions or comments about anything I have covered in this episode, or if you have any ideas for a news story you'd like to see covered in a future episode, there are several ways that you can get a hold of the show. You can reach me directly at my website, hazardousverbal.com. You can use the Contact Us form on the contact page to send me a message. You can email me through hazardousverbal@gmail.com. If you would like to leave a voice message and have it played on a future episode, you can do so through Skype. The Skype ID is Ichimoto1. Or you can contact me through any of my social media accounts. I do believe that they are all posted on the hazardousverbal.com website. Well, we certainly did cover quite a lot of interesting information this week. Finished off the Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list. Gave my opinions on some of those cards and how they being unbanned completely will affect the meta or not affect the meta. Got some interesting information regarding gaming, and, well, we had a really good time talking about it. That's pretty much all I have for this week. Until next week, this is Shiro-chan signing off. Peace.